So it looks like we're getting a new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Future Foundation Stealth Suit action figure. But is this one worth your money? If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. And if you want to hang out with me and my soulmates, I stream live on YouTube Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Spider-Man action figure in his Future Foundation Stealth Suit is actually an inverted version of the Future Foundation costume that, believe it or not, was released back during the Arnim Zola wave way back in 2012. Couple of things about the Spider-Man from that wave though. The Future Foundation suit is actually a variant, and also they were still using the ball-jointed hips on that Spider-Man at the time. So the fact that they've decided to do an inverted version of that action figure instead of redoing the action figure entirely is a bit of a surprise to me. Seems to me that you'd want to take the regular version because it was a variant anyway and update it, but here we are. And I think that the Marvel Legends team said that this one is based on the 2099 body. I'm not seeing it. I've looked at the 2099 Spider-Mans, and it doesn't really look like it's based on that. It looks like it's based on another body. He looks like he's a little bit more jacked than 2099 Spider-Man, who looks kind of thin, honestly. But if we're talking about the torso, I can kind of see it there because this torso does look a little outdated. And outdated is really what comes to mind when I look at Future Foundation Stealth Suit Spider-Man here. He's got pin joints, he doesn't have the torso articulation cut at the chest like a lot of modern Marvel Legends do, and it's turned out that that's been the superior torso joint, so I kinda wish that they would stick with it. I was a little skeptical at first, but after experiencing it, I gotta say, it's really good. The torso cut really works. Since this Spider-Man does feel pretty jacked anyway, and it looks like all the details are just painted on him, I do wonder why they didn't just go with the body that's been used on Symbiote Spider-Man and Classic Spider-Man, the Spider-Man body that everyone pretty much likes at this point. Even I have to admit, it's a pretty good body. It's a little bit more muscular than I like my Spider-Man to be. I like Spider-Man to be a skinny nerd. To me, that's the essence of Spider-Man's physical appearance, regardless of what was on Spider-Man the Animated Series, which I don't hold to be the best representation of Spider-Man anyway. In my mind, the best representation of Spider-Man I've seen in a cartoon has gotta be the 1960s Animated Series. I thought that Spider-Man was really great. I'm cool on this toy for a couple of reasons, and I'll talk about the accessories in a second, but I want to talk about the details first because I keep harping on this and harping on it, and I feel like it's important to talk about it. The details are just painted on, which is not very exciting on a toy like this. For as much as we're paying for these now, and they're at least $25 a crack now, which is the standard price that Hasbro wants for a Marvel Legend, the details really need to be sculpted on in addition to paint. They gotta start sculpting this stuff on to really make it worth your money because, like I say, more money, more expectations. If Toy Biz were making this back in the day and they were releasing it back in like 2005 or something, and the details were just painted on, I really wouldn't mind all that much about what this is. I would just take it for what it is because at like $8.99, okay, fine. This is what you get for $8.99, but at $25, yeah, you gotta start sculpting that stuff on, man. And the thing of it is, they could have taken some cues from Marvel's Spider-Man on the PlayStation and used their design for the Future Foundation suit from that, because when you look closely at that, there's a lot of nice little details on there. There's lots of little seams, there's little designs here and there. It would make for a really cool action figure, and they could have started using that for bodies like this. Instead, we just get another recycled body mold with nothing really done to it, just a new paint job. And you kind of have to wonder, is this really worth $25? If this were on the newer Spider-Man body, I could maybe see it, but considering it's on an old body to begin with, oh, I'm really not feeling it then. And speaking of whether or not this is worth the money, we have to talk about the accessories. It looks like we're getting an extra set of hands with this, and they're the web-spinning hands, but what about the wall-crawling hands? There needs to be a few sets of hands included with pretty much every Spider-Man figure to make it feel like a complete Spider-Man experience. You gotta have the punching hand, you gotta have the web-spinning hand, and then you gotta have the wall-crawling hands, because then you finally feel like you're handling Spider-Man. I can't imagine having a Spider-Man toy without wall-crawling hands, but you know, we've been seeing it a lot, and it's kind of a kick in the pants every time it happens, but For 25 bucks, and I'm just assuming because I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the price, but I'm kind of figuring with the way that Marvel Legends are going right now, we really need to have that extra set of wall crawling hands because it just makes it feel like it's more worth the money than it would otherwise. There's really no reason at this point to keep recycling a Spider-Man body that 1 has pin joints and 2 doesn't have chest articulation. If this toy had that Spider-Man body and it had all the sculpted elements and it had all the hands included with it, I think then you might be able to justify spending 25 bucks on this. But as it is, this looks like one to wait for clearance. I'm not even all that personally invested in this particular version of Spider-Man, but if you are interested, I would just wait it out. I noticed that the Spider-Man line has been really hit or miss with its releases. Like, I thought the Shocker was really good, even though they didn't paint the lines on him, which was pretty tacky. Regardless, the sculpt was still pretty good on that action figure, and everything felt pretty new. But then you get a figure like the Hobgoblin, which was a really poor rendition of Hobgoblin from Spider-Man the Animated Series. That was not Hobgoblin from Spider-Man the Animated Series at all. And then Venom was really bad too. Venom was worse than Hobgoblin. He was one of the worst Marvel Legends of 2021. And then Rhino wasn't perfect either. They could have done a lot more with that one. I kinda like the toy, but I feel like they should have done more with his body than they did. On the other hand, Armored Spider-Man was really great, and Symbiote Spider-Man wasn't bad either. So like I say, there's a mixed bag with the retro Spider-Man line. Some of it is really great, and others are really underwhelming. And it's disappointing because with a character as big as Spider-Man, you really want every character to be a straight-up slam dunk. Well, Soulmates, what do you think about this Future Foundation Stealth Suit Spider-Man action figure? Is this a toy that you really want for your own collection, or is this one that you feel like you might skip this time around? Do you think that this one has a good number of accessories, or do you wish that there was more going on? Do you wish that the sculpt had more going on too? And also guys, be sure you let me know what Spider-Man toys you want to see in the future. Personally, I really want to see an Armani Doc Ock action figure. If they made that, I would be a very happy man. And when they finally do Doctor Octopus, I'm almost certain they're going to make him a deluxe version. And I really want to see articulated tentacles. I'd like to see how that works. And maybe it doesn't work, and maybe that's why they haven't done it. But I'd like to see them try and see what happens, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. I'll be back again soon with some more thoughts about new comic book toy news. And until then, with love from me to you, bye-bye.